specifically, also known as tempo runs to a lot of other people in the running world. I prefer the terminology of threshold training because it's a little more accurate as to what is happening inside of your body when you are doing this type of training. So what is lactate threshold? Basically, as you are running, the faster you're going for longer distances, there's lactate that is created in your bloodstream, and I'm not going to get into the chemistry. I'm not a scientist, as you know, but lactate builds up in your bloodstream, and so that burning sensation that you feel when you're running a race, that is lactate building up in your bloodstream, and it's not being basically pumped. It's not being what's the term? It's not being cleared fast enough from your bloodstream, and therefore it's accumulating in your bloodstream, and that is what the burning sensation is in your legs when you start to hurt late in a race, okay? So that is lactate, and in order to train your lactate, because that's really, if you think about it, like when you're running a race, oftentimes you're breathing hard, but if you're in good fitness shape, a lot of times what's going to end up slowing you down is the pain in your legs. Like you're going to start to cramp up. You're going to start to feel, your legs are going to start to feel heavy. That's what's actually going to cause you to slow down. Therefore, in order to run faster, and listen, I am talking specifically about marathon training and half marathon training, 5K, 10K, it's absolutely critical to do lactate threshold work. But we're going to cover that in a different video as far as how to go about doing that for like high schoolers, for the 5K, 2 mile. It's just a little different because the distances are so much shorter. And so as you're racing, your lactate is slowly going up and up and up. And then you're going to reach a certain speed after a certain amount of time, and it's different for everybody. It's going to start to go up exponentially based on how well you have trained your lactate threshold point. And the goal is that you want to push, when that chart starts to go up exponentially, you want to push it further and further out down the distance chart and down the speed chart based on your abilities, so that that pain in your legs does not set in early in the race. And that point is exactly the point you want to train at. You don't want to go faster. You don't want to go slower. You want to find that point and hold it, and just hold it. You don't want to go further and further into oxygen debt. That's an anaerobic effort. You don't want to go there. That means you're going too hard, too fast, and you obviously don't want to go too slow, because then you start flirting with long, slow distance days. And now, how do you actually go about training your lactate threshold? The first step is you need to figure out your 5K PR, all right? So maybe let's just take 18 minutes as an example. If that is your 5K PR, you want to subtract 20 to 30 seconds from that average mile pace. Now, I realize a 5K is like 3.1 miles, but we're just going to call it 3 miles for simplicity. So that's 6 minutes a mile. Therefore, your pace for your lactate threshold run or your tempo run would be 6:20 to 6:30 per mile. Does that make sense? All right. And so let's say you're a fast high school kid and you're running like around 15 minutes. Whoa, that means your lactate threshold pace or your tempo run would be about 5:20 to 5:30 per mile. All right. Now, once you have found that threshold pace, that tempo run pace, you want to think about the distance that you are preparing for. And again, we'll talk about 5K, 10K, 2 mile training down the road. Today, I want to focus on marathon specifically, maybe a little bit of half marathon. For the marathon, here's what I'm going to do. So guess what? The Cleveland Marathon is 12 weeks away. 12 weeks. It's the perfect timing. 3 months of threshold training. It's beautiful. So here's what I'm going to do. You might do something a little differently, but I called today's run. So I know it was a long run with the 22 miles, but that 3 mile threshold effort was a baby threshold effort. What will I do over the next 12 weeks? Every other week, I will add 3 miles to my threshold run. So the LSD, the long, slow distance pace, will be reduced, and the threshold pace mileage will increase. So it'll start to go like this, and eventually that tempo run pace will overtake the LSD pace. Does that make sense? So this week was 3 miles. In 2 more weeks from today, hopefully if the weather holds, 2 more weeks from today, I'll do 6 miles, and then 9 miles, and then 12 miles, and then 15 miles, okay? And listen, I am getting ready to run a fast marathon. Like, that is the goal. And like, there's a difference between running a marathon and racing a marathon. I think everybody out there wants to race a marathon and go as fast as possible.